about what an IEP is. It's a mandated document. Anytime a child is designated as having special needs, then we have to put together an IEP for the child, and it's done at the school. Different schools have different arrangements for putting together the IEP, but there is always a school-based team that plays the primary role, and the parents are part of that team in putting together that child's individual education plan. The IEP is designed to be concise. It's not a long, wordy document. It needs to give you, and any teacher, a very quick overview, but yet have enough detail that basically after you've written the IEP, anyone could walk in, any teacher could walk in and know exactly what is supposed to be happening for that child. So we need to be concise in how we write, remembering that all of the information about the child is in that child's file, the psychoeducational report and any other document. So we don't need to provide long, wordy descriptions. When you write an IEP, it's for that student for that school year. Next year's teacher will write another IEP. It does need to be written down. It's not something that can be in your head. And it serves two purposes in addition to putting together the plan for that child for the year. One is monitoring, which means once the IEP is written, it doesn't sit in a file somewhere, it's out, obviously respecting confidentiality, but it is out where you are looking at it very frequently, and it's also a tool for communicating. It's not necessarily the report card, although we'll talk about that in a minute. It can be used as such. So we communicate with parents, we communicate with the students, other staff members, professionals, other professionals who are working with that student for the year. And it's designed to be a flexible document, which means, and we'll talk about this, if something isn't working, we don't throw it out right away or change it, but we monitor and we make changes as needed. And going back to the idea that it's a working document, it is what we're using to monitor the child. And that IEP goes in the child's file and it stays there. So know that it's going to be a document of record. Everything that will be taught to that one student. You're talking in the IEP about the important goals, the areas of need that you're going to work on. And let's say that two of those are in reading and one is in behavior or a social skill. That student is going to be involved in art class and music class and science class and phys ed. So it's not a description of everything. It's also not a one-size-fits-all. I had a very interesting experience a few years ago, and this was when I was still in Alberta, when one of my student teachers came back from his practicum, and this was in a high school, and all of the teachers got together after school on a Wednesday afternoon, and they wrote 200 IEPs in 2 hours and passed them around. And that's not the way to do it. So obviously those were not individualized to each of those students. It's also not a means to monitor the effectiveness of a teacher. You can't be fired if a student does not reach or meet his or her long-term goals and short-term objectives. You need to document everything you're doing, but it is not, and this ties into something that's a little bit lower down on that slide, it's not a legal contract. It is a legally mandated document by the government, but it's not a legal contract. If it was a legal contract, then, and you didn't meet those contractual obligations, then you could be in trouble, but it's not a legal contract. It's also not a daily plan. Again, your jot notes go into your daily plan as to what you're going to focus on for that child on that day, but it's not a daily plan. And I mentioned this earlier, it's not a report card, although it can be used as such, particularly for a student who's on a significantly modified program. This could be a student who is in grade 5 or 6, who perhaps has Down syndrome and is working at a kindergarten or grade 1 level, where everything that child is doing basically is outlined in the IEP, and that's going to form the foundation for the report card. you're better off for a student who's on an adaptive program, so a student who is working, having accommodations and adaptations in the classroom, but still working with grade level material. You're better off documenting progress in the IEP itself, and then including some of that information perhaps in the report card, but reporting for that child on what he or she is doing in the classroom. And basically, you know, it's not written in stone. What you write in late September or early October can be changed. It's always a good idea to keep everybody informed if you are making changes.